Welcome everyone to this exciting interview segment. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Douglas Veermeeren, star of the Paramount doc Mafia Spies. Join us as we delve into Douglas' insights into his portrayal and the challenges of filming this doc. Thank you for being here, Douglas.
Thank you for having me.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your character in Mafia Spies?
Yeah, so I play the lead FBI agent, and it's a very peculiar time in U.S. history. In fact, a lot of people probably remember that the 1960s had a lot going on in the United States, everything from Cold War type situations with the Soviet Union to challenges with Cuba, of course, the Civil Rights movement. John F. Kennedy was shot and unfortunately killed. But there was a lot going on, and so my FBI agent has a lot of kind of pressures as they're trying to sort some of this out. And I don't know how much you know about the program, but it's based on a lot of unclassified top secret documents of things that occurred during those times. And one of our assignments as the FBI is to actually be monitoring some of the organized crime leaders and the mafia, which it turns out later that the US government actually had an agreement with, which was very interesting.
Great. And what initially attracted you to your role and to these projects in Mafia Spies?
Well, it's kind of funny. I guess even the way that the project came into my hands. Firstly, like I've always been interested in this time in American history. I've also always been interested in the 1960s. I think that they kind of have a very romantic appeal and a lot like everything, the music, the fashion, the film, the personalities that were there. It was very appealing. But the way that I kind of got involved in this film is I was in Canada at the Banff Media Festival and meeting people and networking and being involved in all of the activities that were there. And I actually met a gentleman by the name of Tom Donahue, and Tom actually is the director of Mafia Spies. So as we got to know each other and so forth, he thought that I had a really good look for the FBI agent. And so we kept in touch. And when it came time for them to go to camera, he called me and said, "I want you to come down to Los Angeles and we're going to shoot." And we shot, in a variety of areas, but at the Paramount Pictures studio at the Lot, and then a few other locations around the Los Angeles area. So it was fantastic.
Amazing. And what do you think makes this doc so special and captivating?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, I think a lot of people are fascinated with that time in US history, but I think one of the things that makes it very special and unique is that this is the first time that a lot of these hidden documents have come to light. And this is the very first documentary that, anyways, takes a look at these situations. And in fact, there's a lot of events here that are, how should we say, eye-opening, that they're not quite what we thought in the public domain. So even some of the ideas around how John F. Kennedy was assassinated, some of those things are questioned. The influence of the government that preceded John F. Kennedy and how some of the troubles began even back before he came into office. And then obviously the entanglements with the mafia. And one thing that even surprised me is how the CIA was actually influenced even by the James Bond movies. And it talks about that in this documentary. And I obviously am a James Bond fan, and I knew that the world was influenced by that, but I never understood the degree to which it influenced the CIA themselves. So it was a very interesting time, and I think that's why people are so excited about it.
Yeah. And what do you hope audiences take away from watching Mafia Spies?
Yeah, I think one of the things that that I think people will definitely take away from it is just the idea that things with the government and also with organized crime are not as clear as we would think. It's not black and white. I hate to say it, but I don't know that there are any good guys. Meaning, was there a good guy and a bad guy? I think they both were, let's call them gray guys. They had moments where they were doing noble things for the right reasons, and then they had times when they were doing some incredibly terrible things, and it was either for greed or for power all of these other aspects. And so it'll really open your eyes as far as, I think, you know, the reality of the situation. We all do our best, but sometimes we also do naughty things too, right?
Yeah. And what was it like working with the rest of the cast on set
Oh, they
and
were
crew?
also fantastic. And you know what's funny is I've made some really good lifelong friends. In fact, it was funny. Nick, who plays Johnny Rosselli, was one of the first ones to send me information about, you know, the show coming out and some clips and some pictures. And he's just been a really cool guy. And I've always loved The Sopranos, and he's in that. And then some of the other people, even the fellow that played JFK, Richard Ryan, he and I have actually hung out, and we've had a couple lunches here and there and a few events that we've been at together. And so it's been great. And my fellow FBI partner, John Zacchino, he actually has been texting me back and forth, and we shared, you know, on-set pictures and things of this nature. So whenever you're doing a movie or a film that you're there multiple days, you end up building really good friendships with the cast and the crew. And it's almost like going to summer camp, right? So when everyone goes home from summer camp and you get a chance to kind of reminisce, you keep certain friendships. And then if you work together again and you meet people again, it's just almost like a family reunion. And I've been fortunate in my career that there's a handful of directors and like movie or actors that I've had a chance to work with several times. And so whenever I get a chance to kind of reconnect with those people, it's always fun to keep those friendships going. So yeah, and I loved it. Mafia Spies was such a great set to work on. And Tom, the director, is such a fun guy, and he's just really talented at what he does. So it helps when you have somebody that knows what they're doing, for sure.
Great. And what can you tease about your character journey?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to say you're gonna have to watch it to see if I get the bad guy at the end or if I get my man. And I think the way that we go about it is actually very interesting. It's not what you would have thought, and I don't want to give it away. You remember that when they chased Al Capone, you know, they wanted him for so many things, but the only thing they could get him on was tax evasion. And no one saw that coming. That was just a really interesting way to pursue him. And so my character and the other FBI agent, we chase John Rosselli, but we get him kind of cornered in a weird way that you wouldn't see coming as well. And it's very, very subtle, but it's something that our FBI figured out, which was interesting.
Yeah, amazing. And change of a subject. What can you share about your upcoming movie, Homeless for the Holidays?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, actually, Homeless for the Holidays is the first Christmas movie that I've ever done. And so it was kind of a unique thing. That was actually shot in Kentucky. Whitman was the director, and I'm in there with a pretty big WWE star by the name of Al Snow. And Al is just a blast. I've now done 2 movies with him, so he's super fun. We've got a good friendship. It was an interesting experience to shoot a Christmas movie in January, because that's when we shot it. So just after Christmas. So, you know, the whole house and the set where we're at was decorated for Christmas, but Christmas had just ended. So it was really kind of fun. One of my favorite moments that I'll never forget with this movie, and you'll think that this was funny. In one day, I got hit in the face by a football, hit in the face with a pie, and then fell out of a Christmas tree and brought the Christmas tree down on me, and also Al Snow. So it was one day that had all these really funny events that we shot. And you'll see in the movie they stagger it out. But yeah, definitely. I think the trailer right now has me getting the football in the face. It was really quite funny. And it was really thrown across the room. It was the director that did it, and he hit me. Perfect shot, first time, right in the face. It was hilarious.
Great. So, about that, at Survivor the Shows, we are big fans of Christmas rom-coms. What
Okay, cool.
what is your all-time favorite?
My all-time favorite show
Christmas rom-coms or Christmas movies?
or Christmas movies, my favorite Christmas movies and rom-coms. You know what? There's so many Christmas movies that I love. Like obviously every Christmas we have to watch Christmas Vacation. Everyone does. Um, I always still love the first Home Alone. I thought that that was super clever and fun and unique. But I also like A Christmas Story. I think that that's a good one too. So, I mean, I always get watching those. Our family, one of our favorites, of course, is The Sound of Music. Ever since I was a little boy, I remember it was my grandmother's favorite movie, so everyone would watch it, and every generation since then has watched it, and of course, everyone sings along. So it's always quite fun. In fact, when I was a little boy, my mother was in a musical production, a theatrical production of The Sound of Music. She actually played a nun, and I think it was Baroness von Schrader. And it was funny because while they were shooting or while they were doing the theatrical play, I would sometimes sneak out and go meet with the makeup artist, and he put bullet holes on my hands and on my head and stuff. And then I'd go back into the audience. And I must have been maybe 11 at the time. It was really funny.
Yeah, great. So, change of subject again. What have been some of the most memorable projects you have worked on throughout your career, and why for you?
Wow, there's been a lot of really memorable projects. In fact, as I think back, I've been really blessed. I've been really lucky to work with some very, very cool people. I definitely have some favorite moments and also some moments that taught me a lot about the movie industry. I think, some of them it's interesting because when I first started in the business, I didn't really know much about what I was doing because I started so young. I was around 7 or 8 or something, and I did a show in Canada for CBC. I didn't really know I was making a movie at that time. I just knew that they asked me to be a newspaper boy and to ride my bike. And the thing that I thought was wonderful is the craft services table had jelly-filled donuts, and I could eat as many as I wanted. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then at the end of the day, they paid me $50 cash. So I was like, this is great, but I had no idea I was on a TV show. And it wasn't until probably later that I started understanding what we were doing. And I had a chance then to work with a lot of people that I admired and people that I met, that were just outstanding. And one of my favorite opportunities was I was doing photo doubling and stunt work on Open Range, which is with Kevin Costner, Robert Duvall, Annette Bening, Michael Jeter, and others. And it was just fun to see how Kevin Costner worked. I really grew in appreciation and respect for him. I mean, obviously, I liked his movies before I met him, but when I actually met him and saw how he treated other people and how he was on set, he's a very focused individual, but he's also very, very kind. And I just from working with him, that's an experience that I'll always treasure. But I had a couple other people that I also really enjoyed working with that we've made really good friends over the years, and just some enjoyable experiences that I've had. I think one of my other highlights was I had a chance to work on a show that's not yet been released with Tom Sizemore before he passed away, and we did a lot of improv together through this scene, and it was fun to work with him. So I've had some really great people. And it's funny, actually, I'm just thinking of one that the movie hasn't come out, but it will be coming out soon. I worked with Douglas Tate, and Doug Tate, I'm a Douglas, he's a Douglas, so it's
Yeah.
fun. But he played on some of the scary movies. He was the man inside the mask for Jason and also Michael Myers. And it's just interesting because he is not like Jason at all, and he's not like Michael Myers. And we were just goofing around like crazy. And at one point, he lost his hat on the set. So I had an extra hat. So I gave him my hat. And then we found his hat, and he gave me his hat. And so we created all this fun relationship. And I talk with him quite often, and he's just a fun guy, and we're going to be doing other projects together. So like I said, you just build these friendships with people that maybe you didn't expect or see coming. And that's always a pleasure, and it's always exciting to do. But I also, to answer your question, I think my best experiences are yet to come. And so I'm excited to see what's next and where we go next. And yeah, it's just, we're enjoying the ride and working hard.
Amazing. So the last question, can you tease something about your next projects?
I've got a few that are in the work, but there's a couple that I should probably tell you about that are kind of neat. So another favorite one that I had that we shot in November was a cowboy movie called Black Creek, but it's a cowboy martial arts movie. And so it's the sort of the creation of Cynthia Rothrock, who's a martial arts legend. She's known as the Queen of Martial Arts. one of the top, if not the top, female martial artists that ever has been in film. She's just incredible. And so I play the bad guy in there, and I make a lot of these martial artists fight each other and we gamble on it and all this kind of stuff. And so that comes out October 9th. There's a big premiere in Beverly Hills, and it's actually going to be open to the public. So if people do want to come, they can get tickets to attend that and see some of the celebrities and stars there. I'll be there, and I'll probably be bringing some of my family members as well. It's not very often that the public gets invited to a red carpet kind of premiere. So for people that are interested in that, obviously just Google Black Creek movie. You'll find some info on that. So that one's coming out. But I've got a few that I'm about to do, and I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say. But later this month, I'm doing one called Alien Horde, which is a science fiction film. And I'll be, I don't know, playing, how do we say this? A space ranger kind of thing guy, a guy in outer space. So that'll be really fun. The script is very cool. And then I'll also be doing I guess, an art piece, which is kind of interesting because I'm playing somebody very different than me, but it's going to be good. We always try to find parts of ourselves in these characters, right? And I think I'm finding this guy, and it's interesting. It's a lot of work, but it's called Farewell to Youth. We've got some of the cast members from Stranger Things, you remember from Netflix, and
Yeah.
one of my friends, Larry Thomas, who was the soup Nazi in Seinfeld, is involved in it, and we've got a few other people that are coming, so that's going to be a really fun one. I'm excited about that. But then there's also something really spooky coming, and I want to be careful how much I say about this. In about a week, I start on something called Baphomet's Seance, and it's a film like none other. In fact, it's partly been written and crafted by people who have a background in hypnosis and magic, so stage illusions, especially with mentalism. And this will be the first movie that really kind of talks to people, and you'll feel like you're in it, and it will leave you with some very eerie feelings. In fact, some are thinking that this is going to be the scariest movie ever made because of some of the trickery that's being used in it. It's all very revolutionary stuff, and some are thinking it's going to change the scary movie industry much in the way that Star Wars changed the science fiction industry. But we'll see, right? I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful, but I read the script and it's spooky. It's really spooky. So that will be a fun project, I'm sure.
Great, amazing. So this is it. Make sure all our friends to watch Mafia Spies on Paramount Plus. And thank you, Douglas, to join us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye.